to continue the conversation on Grounded, we have Shyla Scovard with us from Obsidian Entertainment to give us all the backyard dirt on the upcoming 1.0 update, which releases on September 27th. Shyla, welcome to the stream. How are you feeling being here at Gamescom?
I am so excited. This is something that I've missed. Being in the show floor, watching players play the game, there's nothing better than being able to get something that's been worked on so long and getting players to watch it. So for me, this is thrilling. I am so
There's a particular energy in the room today as well, is there not? Yeah.
Oh, no, it's great. And I think everybody's just glad to be back and playing games out in public again, so it's fun.
Totally agree. Right, let's move swiftly on to Grounded then, as that's what we're here for. So some folks out there might recognize it as Grounded has been around and available in game preview for like 2 years now, thanks to Game Pass. And Phil mentioned something very exciting in a deep dive then with Adam, and that is that the full story is on the way. So what exactly does this mean? And how is it going to be integrated into a game that players have grown, pun intended, to love so much over the years without one?
Oh yeah, no worries. So there's a few questions that you get when you start the game, and that is, why am I so tiny?
Yes.
Whose backyard is it? And how did I get here?
So, all valid questions.
Right?
Yes.
You wake up and you're tiny, you need to know. These are important. So with this story that's being integrated into the current gameplay, you are going to be able to uncover these answers, find out how you got there, and ultimately, hopefully, be able to go big and go home.
I love that that's the thing you guys say.
It's great.
So perfect.
It's the best one.
So a reminder to fans that this is actually going to be the largest update that the game has had so far, right?
Yes.
It's going to be absolutely huge. So I would love for you to highlight some of both the big and the miniature, because it's Grounded, updates that games that players can expect are coming to the game.
Perfect. So we do have some things. I know Adam mentioned the Mantis fight, and there was a picture of it. It is huge. It is something that the players have been asking for so long. One of the most requested insects. So the fact that we could put that in and players will finally get to experience that fight, that's perfect.
I love that, like, of all the games that you could find in Germany this week, I do believe yours is the only one where people have begged to fight a praying mantis.
You know what? And if that's the case, that's perfect. I love it. So as someone who enjoys the spiders in it, the mantis is the next step up.
Absolutely, yeah.
So along with that, and like we mentioned, the story will be going in. There will be an expansion to the backyard, so there are going to be new areas for players to explore. Obviously, new items to craft and everything else. I wish I could go into specifics, but that's just something that we have a month away, so they could wait.
Absolutely. But there have been so many updates along the way. You mentioned new locations, but it's not the first time you've done this over the last couple of years.
No. So back when we launched in July of 2020, Grounded started, and it was basically an oak tree, and there were some areas that you can go explore, but all your stuff was around this tree. Over the years, we've expanded to a koi pond, where we have a giant koi fish named Trudy II, who, if you look at her, has a scar over one of her eyes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't know why. I asked someone once, and they just said, Trudy's seen some things. So we leave it at that.
I was going to say, what happened to Trudy 1 as well?
That's the only answer I've got. But she lives in the pond. Players can meet her. After that, we went and we expanded the hedge, which is where the broodmother lives. They can go explore that background, get some fun stuff from there. And then we went into the haze, which was originally part of the official launch. But when we wanted to go back and do it, like it was there, we were cool with it, but we had so many more other plans that the team was able to go through and redo the haze to make it something that they wanted. They added a sandbox, which has a very angry crab face that I love, because one of the first times you get into it, you're ziplining in and you just go right past this angry crab. So it's perfect. There's a picnic table, which has a tabletop game that is called Minotaurs and Myrmidons. Volume 2, obviously. And so you actually get to go through the tabletop castle that they've built, because whoever lived there left some miniatures and everything playing around.
So cool.
And then the most recent one that they just added was the upper yard area, which includes a wood pile and the termite den. So not only do you get a knocked over barbecue pit and you get to go explore that, but now you get to go meet the termites, which are always a blast.
Meet the termites. Love it. So how many updates have you done now? For those who may not have been following, how many are we up to?
I want to say 14. Which will be, 14 will be coming.
Yeah.
As many of our fans know, we do push out our updates onto a public test before making them go live. And this is one of the beauties about being on Game Preview and working with our community. So the one that will be coming up hopefully soon, because it's available to test, will be 14. However, I believe I've done 18 vlogs. So we've been updating for a little while now.
Absolutely. And it's been amazing to see both the community and the game itself grow so, for lack of a better word, momentously over the last couple of years.
Yes.
And as well as that, receive positive feedback along the side. So now we're only a month away from the game's full release, as Phil mentioned, on September 27th.
Yes.
I want to know what that journey's been like for you personally.
It's been amazing.
18 vlogs. You've been there.
It's been great. So when we first announced Grounded at XO 19, it was a very exciting time. It was a very, good, anxious time and everything, because Grounded is not the type of game that you go, Obsidian, that's perfect. That's what I'm expecting. And so to bring it to XO and get a first-hand glimpse at not only the announcement, but players actually playing it for the first time, that was just great. And so to see it go from those few who were at that convention, grow to 1 million in the first 48 hours, 5 million in the first 3, and then recently we hit 10 million. To just watch this grow and to watch the team work with the community to build this game, it's impressive. It makes me happy every time I think about it. I'm just so proud of what this game has become to not just the team, but the community and players. Oh,
absolutely. And talking about all 10 million of those players, I got to say, you must get a ton of feedback and a lot of requests. So 2-part question here. Number 1, how on earth do you go through all of that and work through all the feedback?
Yes, so our team is very dedicated to knowing what the community wants. And so when I say they read everything, they read everything.
Oh, everything is read.
Everything. Yes. They are on the Reddit constantly seeing what players are posting, what kind of bases or information that they're sharing with others. They are on our Discord seeing what's being talked about there, Twitter, Facebook, any place that people are talking about Grounded streams. They're there to see what ideas people are suggesting and what they can put into the game. And so in order to have that and have a way that we can parse through everything, we have an official Discord where we encourage players to go and join the Discord and join the suggestion channel.
That's a great idea.
It is, and it's what's nice is it's very a community-focused type of way of getting suggestions in, because they can go and suggest something, and then the community can vote. So if it's something people really want, they can vote it up. If it's not something that they really care about, they could just leave it alone. And once these suggestions reach a certain limitation, then they're put onto an Excel file, and then they're brought in front of the game director and the QA lead, and our community manager and player support specialist, bless their hearts, they go through everything with them, and they make sure that the community is being heard in front of the dev team.
Fantastic. So my follow-up question on that then is, I'd love to know how the community has actually shaped Grounded over the years, and if you can give any in-game examples that actually only exist because people have shouted so loud about it.
Yes, so one of the ones, like Adam mentioned, sitting.
Well, yeah, we saw it just then in that clip. Who'd have thought sitting is what people want in their games?
Right, but it makes sense because we introduced chairs and sofas, and so people were able to decorate their bases, and decorate them they did. But then it would just be like, come to my base, but we can't sit.
Don't you dare sit down. No.
So we went ahead and we were able to bring sitting to the game, and so now people can lounge around. That was one thing that without the community, without how often they requested it, wouldn't probably be possible. Ladders are another one, because people are building giant houses, they're building bases. We've seen bases take over the entire yard, and sometimes they build straight up. They don't want to spend their time climbing a spiral staircase, so they started suggesting ladders.
Ladders straight up.
And we did it. A lot of the suggestions that we take from them, which are great, are quality of life suggestions. Because they're playing the game. They know what they want in order to make the game more fun for everyone. And so a lot of the stuff that we've seen come from them that help are the ability to auto pick up arrows when, you're going to shoot. I miss stuff all the time. The arrows fly around the ground. Instead of having to go one by one and pick them up, you can actually go and just walk over them, and they're yours.
Saved you a click. I would call that the definition of quality of life when it comes to a game as well. Love to hear it.
So perfect.
Perfect. In fact, I am curious though, what do you think is the most unexpected addition to the game that you've seen so far?
So the most unexpected, and probably one of my favorites. So we're talking about quality of life, and I see this as a quality of life. Others may disagree. but one of the suggestions was an infected wolf spider.
And people asked for that?
Yes.
Okay,
so,
sure.
Back when we announced the haze and we revamped it and everything else, we reintroduced new creatures in the yard, such as the infected weevil. Everybody loves the weevil.
Yeah.
This one's better because it explodes. And there's nothing more fun than that.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yes. And then we also have infected larvae, and their whole goal is just to ruin your day, and they're perfect.
I relate strongly to that, I won't lie.
They're perfect. They're my little babies. I love them. But we didn't have a spider in there at first, so they started asking for this infected wolf spider, and lo and behold, we have one now.
There you go. I guess if you want that, then go for it. One last quality live check I'm going to go before we move onwards. I'm sure many people out there like myself and watching the stream are incredibly proud of the builds that they've been making over the past couple of years.
Yes.
So I just want to double check with you. Can you put our minds to ease that when 1.0 finally releases, we don't need to say goodbye to all that hard work?
Yeah, no. So the team is very dedicated with every update that they do to make sure all the hard work all our players put into the game is safe.
Amazing.
Obviously, there are going to be some things that we may not be able to find because it is in game preview early access. But that is their number one goal, to make sure...
That's the intention, is to make sure that is...
Yes.
Yes.
And so they are doing everything that they can to make sure that when this goes up, everything can go through, your base will still be there.
Yeah.
That said, I would like to say that they would love to see people start a new save just to experience Grounded with the story from the beginning. So start over, learn about the tutorial.
Maybe do a new save.
Yes.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, because you can keep your other one.
Don't delete the other one.
Keep it there.
No.
But start a new one, and that way you can experience it, and then you'll be able to experience it because there are a lot of players who've been playing from day one.
Yeah.
The team has been able to make a lot of changes to the beginning of the game to where if they haven't started a game in a few months, it's completely different.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I love about being here is that we're talking to players, and I'm finding some who haven't played in months. They were just like, I'm done. Picked it up a few months later, and they were like, oh my God, there's so many changes. This is... And they've just been hooked because now they find some ease in this tutorial.
Well, that feeling of survival's come back again, right? I imagine, I mean, I don't want to put words in people's mouth, but for the people who are endgame building, they're in these massive mansions, they've got every material possible.
Yeah.
When story mode comes along, they're going to be able to dive right in and they're fully prepared. So it's whether or not people want to really go back to those roots and that survival and get themselves from the ground, grounded up again, I suppose.
Yes. And the thing about the story, too, is when this update does come out, the story is going to be integrated into the game. So it's not going to be a separate mode. Like, they're not going to go through and pick new game, story mode.
Yeah.
It's just going to be in the game, like quests and everything else.
Yep.
So people who have been playing will also be able to join the story mode without having to do any fancy stuff to get it to work.
Fantastic. And while we're talking about stories, you know I have to do this, so I'm so sorry, Shyla.
Oh,
Can you give us a little foreshadowing on the full story that players will unlock in version 1?
You know what? I really wish I could, but I know Omnet Practicals Technology is watching, and we'll leave it at that.
That's fine. You got to try. What I will do instead is I'm going to jump over to the topic on everyone's lips, which is the broodmother.
Yes.
We saw her in the footage just then with Adam and Phil. She's literally right here behind me. I can see she's absolutely stunning.
Yes.
We saw some of the epic battle gameplay with said mother, and I'm just going to make some estimations here. Is that a final boss battle? Is raiding on the way? Can you tell us a bit more about combat? I'm so curious.
Yes. I love that you just automatically go to a final boss because
she's humongous. Surely,
she is.
Surely the mother is the end of the game.
No, she is actually the first mini boss players can encounter.
That says a lot about where it's going as well.
Yes, it's great. So, fun fact: when we first launched the game, there was a spider that lived on a flying Discman in the hedge.
Yes.
And that was her home. Players would go and disrupt her, and
she's just living her best life.
She was. And so the dev team decided to take her out for a bit.
Yeah.
They built her a beautiful home, and now for the price of a BLT. BLT, bombardier parts, ladybug parts, and thistles.
So not a bacon, lettuce, tomato.
Yes.
Your own version. Love it. Yeah.
But you go and you build that sandwich. Yep. You present it to her little cove, and then she comes out and she goes, "Oh, thank you for the food. Oh, and your dessert." So you get to experience a little bit about that.
Yeah. So tell us a bit more about the combat then. So I'm approaching it from someone who, when I raid, I'm very much like a ranged melee type, but I like to surround myself with tanks, DPS, healers, etc. Is this the type of combat you can see folks taking in, that level of strategy? Also, to a degree, is there solo combat? Do you think you could take on the broodmother by yourself?
Yes. So the one nice thing is, although we don't say like, you can be this class, this class, this class, and all of the kids in the game, they are built the same. The way that we get to that and allow you to kind of customize your game is that we have mutations in the game.
Oh, okay.
And that is something that you can pick. So like for the broodmother, there's a mutation called Reliable Friend. And for people playing with me, that is probably the best mutation to have because I die a lot.
Okay, yes.
I just like to go in and charge and be like, hey, friend. Oh, no, you're not my friend. And so with the Reliable Friend, they're able to pick someone up much quicker so you can get back into the fight because there are babies and ads that come in. And that can be pretty hard to pick someone up as you're being picked at by a few different spiders.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. So there is a way to do it with friends and get yourself ready, get all the equipment ready. In fact, is there any gear that maybe like you've eyed up? Because we were talking just before we were saying here, and you actually were doing that gameplay in the background of Phil and Adam's conversation. So as someone who's taken on the broodmother themselves, what's your number one tip that you could give us, maybe to prep and think about?
My number one tip is that, like most people know, spiders are afraid of fire. And so if you get some spicy stuff on your weapon, spicy. So we have different modes, so you can collect mints and collect transmute your weapons that way and stuff. My favorite is the spicy, which adds a burning effect to it. And spiders do not take well to that. So that is probably the best weapon you can have. And for a ranged player like you, we do have arrows that are equipped with the spicy tip. So that way you can use that to fight and you'll be good.
Perfect. And then I can just run around the map, pick them all up again.
Yep.
Pew, 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 off I go again.
You're great.
Stunning. I love this. Right. The one thing that is really amazing about Grounded in particular is about that we could talk about the full release is coming in a month, as a reminder, September 27th. But like I said, the amazing thing is that you can go play it right now, right this second. So I want to ask you, for both new and returning fans, remind people where they can go play Grounded right now.
Yes. So Grounded is currently available on the Xbox Game Pass, which I do say I subscribe to, and it is, I call it the subscription we're subscribing to.
I call it theft, so I'm glad we have different words for it.
You know, but we mean the same thing. It is too good to be true.
The value is phenomenal.
And the fact that there are so many day one games, just like Grounded. It's
and so many of the shows we have, the games even we spoke about today as well. All on Game Pass.
Oh, no, it's great. So that is like the easiest way that I recommend people, because then if they're done with Grounded, there's so many other games that they can go and explore.
Absolutely,
and that's perfectly fine. We're all gamers. We all want to see what's out there. If they don't want to do Xbox Game Pass, it is currently available on the Windows Store and on Steam. So you could purchase it now. This is the early access game preview price. We have announced that the price will be going up. So for people who are waiting for story mode before they actually go out and play, I would suggest if you want to own it, buy it now, take advantage of this price. Otherwise, Xbox Game Pass.
Get yourself on Game Pass. Absolutely. That's the main thing. So before you leave, and I don't want you to, but I have to say that before you leave, let's talk a little bit more about the booth itself. As I mentioned, we do have this amazing photo up behind me with the broodmother. I'd love you to tell us a little bit about why that's here and why it's so important to the team to turn up in that way.
Oh yeah, no, it's great for us because we get to bring a piece of the game for players to actually experience. The beautiful thing about the broodmother is that she's built to scale.
To scale?
To scale. So she is 17 feet wide, 7.5 feet tall, and thankfully we have her in a hunched mode, so she's not completely towering over you. But it's just amazing to have that and have that fan experience here, especially when we have an update coming out very soon that players can go and experience. It's nice to bring them here, say, hey, check out Grounded, and then when the update comes out, they can go and they can play with their friends. And that is something that I do want to mention that we do with this update. We have something else that players have been asking for. And although it's not out in the public, it's out on the test flight. And that is shared worlds.
Okay, interesting. What's that?
And that means, so if you and I want to play a game,
we will, by the way. We will. Yes.
And you're like, you know what, I have stuff to do. And I'm like, you know, I want to keep playing. You can share your world with me. We log off, you leave, and then I can pick up by playing myself. And then when you come back on, you join my game, and all the progress I've made is saved. And it's just a way that the team has been able to get players to continue to play with their friends.
Yeah.
And keep that momentum going. Because when you get on a roll, like in a survival game, and you're like, we're building this house.
Yes.
And someone leaves, you're like, okay, I hope I can remember what I wanted to do.
When you're back, yeah, absolutely. And I think that rolls into the whole theme. We've spoken about it a fair bit, but the accessibility of the game.
Yes.
And I think, again, we saw the broodmother is another element that is brought into accessibility. And there's a key word for it. You told me about it, and I would love for you to say the word yourself of what this is.
The danger dumpling mode?
The danger dumpling.
Yes. So back in the day, back in the Wii days, when it first came out, we do have accessibility mode, and that is something that came about because we're able to work so close with Xbox and their teams. And so they worked greatly to figure out why people, have arachnophobia, what kind of triggers them and stuff.
There's loads of research into it, right?
Yes. Yeah. So, and we wanted to find a way in order to get this mode playable, so that way fans could play the game who are afraid of spiders, but also still felt like they were getting the true experience.
Sure.
And so back in the day, we called it's still called arachnophobia mode and everything, but we started to see some people here or there call it a danger dumpling. And it just kind of stuck. So internally, that is our name. So we love it. Some people find it more frightening than the one with the legs. To each their own. I personally love the one with the legs, but the danger dumpling mode is also perfectly fine.
Just a big spider gal, aren't you?
Oh, it's great. At some point, I'll have a tarantula, but we're waiting on that.
I love the goal. Manifest the spider. It's going to happen.
It's happening.
Absolutely. Well, I know I need to get a picture with this lass, so if someone could just screenshot this right here, then maybe I've already done it today. But I did want to thank you so much for joining us today, Shiloh. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And I hope you enjoyed the rest of the booths at Gamescom, though I have a feeling they're not as spider-infested as you want them to be. So thanks again, my darling.
Yes, thanks for having me here.
You're more than welcome.